Okay. Let me be relatively brief, given the PM is up shortly at the National Press Club. We're really pleased to see headline inflation in the bottom half of the Reserve Bank's target range again at 2.4%, and especially encouraged to see trimmed mean underlying inflation within the Reserve Bank's target band as well at 2.9%. This means underlying inflation is now at its lowest level in 3 years. This is a powerful demonstration of the progress that Australians have made together in the economy. This is proof of the responsible economic management which has been a defining feature of this Albanese Labor government. Underlying inflation has fallen again, and as I said, this means both headline and underlying inflation is within the Reserve Bank's target band for the first time since 2021. Under Labor, inflation is low, real wages are growing, unemployment is low, we've got the debt down, growth is rebounding solidly in our economy, and interest rates have started to come down as well. So this is a powerful demonstration of the progress that Australians have made together under Labor on inflation and on the economy more broadly as well. Inflation was much higher and rising very sharply when we came to office, and now it is lower, much lower, and underlying inflation has fallen once again in these numbers that we are seeing today. Monthly inflation is also below the midpoint of the Reserve Bank's target band, and in that case, for the fourth consecutive month. So if you think about the economy that we inherited and the economy that we finished the term with, headline inflation was 6.1% and rising, now 2.4%. Trimmed mean inflation was 4.9%. It is now 2.9%, and that shows the progress that we have made together. Labor is delivering lower inflation, lower taxes, higher wages, immediate and ongoing help with the cost of living. Peter Dutton and the Coalition go to this election with a policy for higher taxes, lower wages, no ongoing help with the cost of living, and savage cuts to pay for their nuclear reactors. Now, I just want to say something briefly about costings before I take just a couple of questions. We released our costings on Monday. They showed that we finished the election campaign in a more responsible position than we started it. We have more than offset the commitments that we have taken to the Australian people over the course of this election campaign. Responsible economic management is a defining feature of our government. Now, when the Coalition finally gets around to releasing its costings, keep an eye out for some dodgy assumptions around productivity, pumping up their numbers. Keep an eye out, remembering that David Littleproud said they'll start building nuclear reactors the day after they are elected. Make sure that they have fully accounted for that when it comes to their nuclear policy in their costings. Keep an eye out for the 3 black holes that we've found already when it comes to their dodgy costings on long lunches, mortgage deductibility, and petrol excise as well. We don't want to see another costings con job from the Coalition under Peter Dutton and Angus Taylor. The reason they haven't released their costings yet is because they don't want to come clean on the savage cuts that they will need to make to pay for their nuclear reactors and what that means for Medicare or pensions and payments. Now, Peter Dutton has said on a number of occasions now that there will be cuts to the budget, but he won't tell Australians what they are until after the election. That is completely and utterly unacceptable. We need to see the Coalition's costings. They need to take full account of their disastrous nuclear policy. It needs to be a realistic costing of long lunches and mortgage deductibility and petrol. And we want to make sure that their costings are not propped up artificially by dodgy assumptions on productivity. I'm just going to take 5 questions including Jen. So we'll just go from this side to there. Sorry, Liv. Sorry, Ron. We're going to do these 5.
Treasurer, as you say, it's within the band across 3 or 4 measures, but it did miss assumptions slightly. It was slightly higher than expected. That's hit the stock market and hit rate cut bets. What do you attribute that slightly upside change in the numbers
Well, three quick points about that. I mean, first of all, we anticipated that when the Queensland rebates came off, that would play a role. We're seeing that, and to some extent WA as well. Secondly, these numbers are better than the budget assumed only 5 and a bit weeks ago. So we're actually ahead of schedule compared to the forecast in the budget. They forecast 2.6 and we got a 2.4 today. Lastly, you asked me about interest rate expectations. You know that I don't predict or preempt decisions taken independently by the Reserve Bank, but the market is expecting somewhere between 4 and 5 additional interest rate cuts this year. And if that eventuated, that would deliver hundreds of dollars every month to Australians with a mortgage. I'm not making a prediction about that, but the market has a very firm view that there are more interest rate cuts on the way, and I don't see anything in these numbers that would substantially alter their expectations. Shane, self, Mark, Jen, and if we've got time, we'll come back to the other two.
Both measures of underlying lifted from 0.5 to 0.7 in the quarter. Do you think that is cause for concern? That underlying, even though it's down the band, it may be back lifting?
No, I think the numbers on underlying inflation are especially encouraging through the year 2.9 within the target band. I think that's among the most encouraging elements of what we're seeing today. You know Shane and everyone here who covers it diligently enough to be here half an hour before the Prime Minister's Press Club speech knows that getting underlying inflation into the target band is a really big deal. It's a very good development. It means that headline inflation's in the lower half of the band for the second quarter in a row. It means that underlying inflation is in the target range for the first time in years. Both of those things are very good things.
The Liberal Party has tweeted Taylor Swift would have to perform one 3-hour concert 7 days a week for 158 years to pay off Labor's debt. What's your response to that? Do you believe you can manage debt better than Angus Taylor and Peter Duff?
Well, if only they put as much effort into coming clean on their secret cuts to pay for their nuclear reactors. I mean, now we know why they haven't released their costings. They're spending all of their time coming up with that kind of rubbish. And that's why nobody really takes them seriously. I don't come across a lot of people who take Angus Taylor seriously. I'm paid to, I have to. I don't underestimate anyone, but that kind of stuff I think just shines a dirty big light on the fact that these characters have had 3 years now and they haven't come up with a costed, coherent or credible economic plan. And that's the difference. And these are uncertain times in the global economy, and these times call for stability and responsibility, and that means a majority Labor government. The coalition do not have a costed, credible or coherent economic plan. They're going to this election promising higher taxes, lower wages and no ongoing help with the cost of living. My prediction is that their costings will be full of holes because of for all of the reasons that I identified a moment ago. Mark?
Just following up with Shane, you've come in here quite chipper this morning. Is that a sign that the war on inflation is over?
Well, first of all, I'm always relatively chipper, Mark. You and I have known each other for a long time with some rare exceptions. I'm optimistic about our economy and I'm proud of the progress that Australians have made together. And I find that the progress on inflation has been especially encouraging. It's a demonstration of the progress we've made together. It's proof of the responsible way that we've been going about managing the economy in uncertain times. And to be able to say as a Labor Treasurer, 3 days out from an election, that we have got inflation down substantially, real wages up, kept unemployment low, got the debt down, interest rates are coming down, growth is rebounding solidly, the private sector is playing a bigger role in that. With everything that the world is throwing at us, I think every Australian can be proud of the progress we've made together on Labor's watch. I'm sorry, out of the corner of my eye, I called you Jen before. I'm really sorry about that. Hi.
Hi. Former CEO of ANSTO, A.D. Patterson, says EMO's plan is fatally flawed. It's too reliant on renewables and batteries that can't sufficiently power the grid. He's one of 50 signatories on an open letter in the newspapers today saying the renewables policy could cost up to $9 trillion. Why are so many experts at odds with AEMO and your plan?
Oh, I don't think they are. I mean, I haven't seen that particular letter, but I think the overwhelming weight of opinion recognises, as AEMO does, that the cheapest form of new power is renewable energy. One of the issues we've got with the grid right now is we've got some unreliable legacy parts of the grid, which are putting upward pressure on prices. I think most observers, most analysts, most economists agree with the AEMO point of view. We're doing two things at once. We're helping with bills at the front end with these energy bill rebates, taking some of the sting out of these electricity prices, at the same time as we're adding more cheaper, cleaner, more renewable, more reliable energy to the grid and backing it up with batteries, but also with the responsible approach that we've taken to gas. I think that's the mainstream view. I know that people will from time to time have other opinions, but our view is, I think, firmly in the mainstream. Now, because you've asked me about electricity, and I think Ben might have as well earlier on, what we see in these numbers today is even with Queensland and WA rebates having an impact on the quarterly number, electricity through the year to March is down 11.5%. And we saw not that long ago that the OECD said that Australia had the lowest energy inflation in the developed world. We know that people are still under pressure. We know that there's more work to do because of that and because the global environment is so uncertain, but we have made a lot of progress across a range of areas. Let's go to Liv and then Ron, and then I'll finish up.
Labor started this campaign talking about price gouging and giving shoppers a fair go. Given this, should Bunnings be subject to a code of conduct similar to what your government has mandated for the supermarkets?
Yeah, so our primary focus has been the supermarkets because we know that that's where a lot of the cost of living pressures are felt most acutely. So if you think about the extra $30 million or so I've given to the ACCC to empower them to get into some of these sorts of issues, supermarkets have been our primary concern, but not our only concern. We've changed the mergers and acquisitions arrangements. We've worked closely with the states and territories on planning and zoning with a competition-facing benefit. And we've also made sure that the ACCC has the capacity to advise us and recommend to us that we broaden our focus beyond supermarkets. But supermarkets are our primary concern.
Bunnings, though, do you think it abuses its market power?
Well, that's a judgment for the ACCC to make, and I've certainly been an enthusiastic supporter of the ACCC's work, back that up with tens of millions of dollars in extra resources so they can provide the right advice to us on these sorts of issues. I'm aware that people have raised concerns about Bunnings, particularly when it comes to the nursery part of the business. Our primary focus is supermarkets, but we've given the ACCC the resources that they need and the ability to recommend to us a broader focus if that's warranted. Ron, to bring it home.
Thank you, Treasurer. Given all the uncertainties about the assumptions that have gone into costings that have produced particular figures that have come into the public domain from oppositions over the years, whether that be the current opposition or opposition's past, should the Charter of Budget Honesty be updated to basically require that when an opposition announces a policy that has a PDO costing attached to it, that the PDO releases that costing in the public domain so that voters and all the journalists can look at what assumptions are going into it?
I certainly think that there should be more transparency from this opposition when they announce policies. You've seen a few cycles here, and other colleagues in the room have seen a number of electoral cycles now. It's quite unusual that this coalition under Peter Dutton and Angus Taylor have been making announcements without coming clean on the costs of those policies. That's unusual. It shouldn't take a change to the Charter to make them make clear not just the costs of their policies, but what they will cut to pay for them. And when Katie and I stood up on Monday in Brisbane and we released our costings, we made it really clear. $10 billion of commitments, $4 billion of those were in the PFO or the budget. The other $6 billion more than offset with almost $7.2 billion in savings. Now, the reason the coalition haven't come out with their costings yet, haven't come clean on their cuts, haven't made clear what their policies cost, is because they know, and we know, and Australians should know, that the only way they can find the hundreds of billions of dollars that they need to build their nuclear reactors is to come after Medicare again, like Peter Dutton did when he was the health minister, to come after health and education funding with tens of billions of dollars of cuts. And so what the coalition is attempting here is very sneaky. They want to skate through all the way to the election or as close as possible without coming clean. And I think that speaks volumes about the approach that they're taking. That's why the choice in this election is between Labor building and the coalition cutting. The problem with that is, in addition to making Australians much worse off, is that Peter Dutton says he won't come clean on that until after the election. And that should send a shiver up the spine of every Australian, because when Peter Dutton cuts, they will pay, and at the worst possible time. Now, there is a lot of global economic uncertainty in the world right now, and volatile times are the worst time for a volatile leader like Peter Dutton. I think that's really clear. In these uncertain times, we need the stability and the responsibility that only Labor can provide, and that means a Labor majority government after Saturday's election. Thanks very much, everyone.